if I actually go live this time. I'm live. Well, that is outstanding. All right. Hello. What's that? What is that? Dust. Well, that's what happens when you live in the desert. You get dust all over you. You just learn to live with the dust. Okay, let's see here. What do we got? I was just looking over, hello. I was just looking over the deficit tracker. It's a bipartisan group. It's neither here nor there as far as parties go. And boy, oh boy, it's just full of good information. Yeah, I think it's a foregone conclusion now that Trump will win. That's, I'm not saying that that I'm a partisan in this. I'm just saying that I thought for a while that Kamala Harris might pull this off. I saw several paths to victory for her, and like her answers, she didn't respond. Nope. What's this? Come on now. I turned you on. I turned you off. I turned you on again. Okay. There we go. Never underestimate their shenanigans. Well, that's true, but that's what it's actually going to take. It's going to take shenanigans. And we all know about shenanigans. Sometimes they work. Sometimes they blow up in your face. So let's see what kind of shenanigans they can pull off here. I'm just not seeing it, though. Please follow through and support Harris. What? Why would I do that? Dude, I study the economy. I would never do that in a million years. Literally, that's what I do all day, every day, is study the economy. As a matter of fact, if you saw the live stream on YouTube, I talked about the fact that, hey, you don't know what bail-ins are, they're coming. I did just go live. I always go live promptly at 7-ish. That's one of the holdovers from being from Hollywood is I grew up in a town where ish follows basically every single schedule. Yes, I am on YouTube. Thank you. We got into some good stuff yesterday after the live stream ended on TikTok, which censors the shit out of people. We had a real talk on YouTube, and it was outstanding. So you want to go to YouTube and jump in there and subscribe. That would be awesome. Trump says rude things, but makes money. It's funny. He hasn't really been saying a lot of rude things lately, has he? I mean, the only really, like, when you ask him a question, he typically answers the question. Now, he might throw in that his is the biggest. It's the greatest ever. Nobody's ever seen its likeness. But then he answers the question. And so, perfect. Awesome. So because of that, we're finding ourselves in a situation where the more ridiculous answers that Kamala Harris gives, the more it's pissing independents off. I'm shaking the camera. That's just me. It's not an earthquake. We don't have a lot of those in. Yeah, he does answer. Now, you may not like all of his answers, but here's the thing. He answers. Yeah. Well, I got there first. I decided to rob Henry of his joy of pointing it out to me. He never answers the questions. Are you serious? Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I saw him on Joe Rogan, but Joe Rogan's no different than any of the others that he's been on. He answers lots of questions. I mean, literally. And by the way, some of the stuff that he talks about is really interesting. You got to remember that he was president for 4 years. And even though he was new to the job and they treated him like a noob and they got a lot of shit over on him, he's had several years to think about what they did and who did it and how he hires and why he hires people. And he talked about the fact that he hired some of the wrong people last time because he didn't know better. Now, when Kamala Harris was asked if there's anything she can think of that she would do differently, she said no. Qualified Lou said everything he isn't. Voodoo, I just explained to you that he literally answers questions, and she literally said that she's going to do things differently than Joe Biden. And when she asked if there was anything she'd do differently in the last 3.5 years, she said, nothing I can think of. Which, by the way, J.D. Vance said should actually be the motto for her entire campaign. Nothing I can think of. Oh, nothing comes to mind. That's exactly it. Thank you. I'm sorry. I actually implied that she thinks. That's my mistake. I'll admit that was a gross miscalculation on my part. That she actually thinks. Humble candidates should be able to acknowledge what? Their past mistakes. Exactly. And that's the thing is you don't think of Trump as humble, but in the Joe Rogan interview, yeah, I think the only disparaging thing he said was obviously she doesn't have any plans, which is true. I mean, otherwise she'd elucidate them for us. He said he hired the best. No, wait, what? No, he said exactly the opposite. Hey, look, I just liked my own live stream. See this guy right here? The guy Martin Grant liked the live stream. That's somebody pretending to be me. Well, hey, Martin Grant, you're a hell of a guy. I don't know why you would pretend to be me, though. I mean, ask any of my exes. I'm pretty much insufferable. No, that's not the right word. Intolerable. You can interchange those. Let's see here. Well, thank you for following me. By the way, I really appreciate that. The algorithms really had me stuck at 118,000 people, and that's it. They wouldn't let me go any farther. What's Trump's plan? Really? You want me to go over like 6 hours of interviews he's done? I can tell you there are a couple things. He actually did talk about looking into the idea of getting rid of income tax and replacing it with tariffs. And he explained that in the 1800s, when we were doing that, we did great. And then, of course, the whole banking system got a hold of us and started strangling us. Your double is trying to steal money. Oh, I know. I've reported him. I report all these guys and, say, hey, look, there's people pretending to be me, and TikTok goes, yeah, okay. So they honestly don't care. Now, if I said something that was even slightly controversial, they'd kick me off of here for a week. But if somebody pretends to be me and steals money, well, that's not something the algorithms here worry about. I didn't watch the entire interview, no. Let's see. I have like 75 Reese Witherspoons. That's funny. Let's see. There will be no election. Oh, I don't know about that. What is Harris's plan? Well, that's a great question. I mean, she didn't put out any of these policies, but her team put out some policies that were absolutely laughable. I mean, they were sad, but they were so sad that they were actually laughable. How long do you have, TikToker 2006? That's a lot. Let's see. I mean, that's a lot. Obviously, if people want to sell products in our country, the richest country in the world, they simply have to pay more. That's all. We literally tax them more. And those tariffs will offset the $1.4 trillion we bring in income tax. And therefore, we get to keep our money. And anybody who wants to sell us shit has to pay tariffs. Let's see. Or make them here in the U.S. Oh, well, that's a hell of an idea. You mean manufacture things? Harris is planned to escape what? To overseas when the arrests begin. I doubt that. She's just going to live out her life in San Francisco in the hellhole that she helped create. I don't think there's going to be a war. I really don't. Who do we owe the most to right now? China. We owe the most to China. And then after that, it's Japan. I don't think it's Saudi Arabia's third. I think they're fourth. I forget who's third. Well, you know what? Made in America used to be the standard for everything. It really was. And, we decided, when I say we, the Democrats, Clinton, decided to sign NAFTA and have things manufactured elsewhere. And it really destroyed our manufacturing base. To Japan, we owe 1.3 trillion to China. We might. It's either first or second. No, it was made in Germany. Nothing's made in Germany as of this year, unfortunately. That's a good question. I don't know who's paying for it. Well, I assume it's probably tax money. The worst made in America is Tesla. I don't know, man. People seem to be pretty happy with their Teslas. It's not a bad car. It really isn't. I mean, considering that he made that out of whole cloth and he just redesigned cars in general, do I think Clinton sold us out? Oh, absolutely. No question. No question. Ross Perot was screaming at the top of his lungs and using charts and graphs and simple logic to point out that, look, this is not going to work. This simply can't work for us. And everybody said, oh, yeah, whatever. You're crazy. Crazy little man. Have 3 Teslas and love them. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. You have to remember that Tesla was the car of choice for the Democrats until Twitter became X. And then all of a sudden, Elon Musk became Satan because he insisted on free speech. Yeah, actually, you're right there, Newton Farmer. Bill Clinton had surpluses when he left office, and he had the best economy ever. Do you know why that is? It certainly wasn't his policies. It was because baby boomers came of age, the largest generation in the history of mankind. And when they came of age and when they hit 40, 50 years old, they started spending like drunken sailors because they were also the wealthiest generation in history. And so the 90s were the best time we will ever see in the United States, at least in the next 50 years. Yeah, actually, I think you're right. I am full. I just ate. Thank you, though, for noticing. Why? Do I look a little chubby? That's what it is. I just ate. Who pays the tariffs? Well, I mean, obviously, the other countries that have the tariffs will raise their prices. And if they raise their prices, that means people will buy from the United States of America. Unless, of course, they keep their prices low and they simply make less. I can't answer that, just in case West Virginia heathen's on here, because I ate an entire extra large pizza. I lost my mind. Elon Musk believes in free speech for him, but not for everyone else. Really? Because that's pretty interesting. For dessert, believe it or not, Coke Zero. I know you're thinking, why have a pizza and then drink Coke Zero? You gotta take those cuts where you can. Let's see. Implodes when exposed to salt water. Implodes or explodes? I think your spell checker screwed you on that one. Kamala Harris wants to censor social media. Well, the way that she put it actually, because I know you don't have enough characters to explain this, but I can actually play the clip for you if you like. She said that we need to be careful when we're allowing these, what did she call it? What was her exact verbiage? She said that She called them privileges. That free speech was a privilege. Pretty close. It was a double pepperoni with double cheese and double sauce. It weighed about 60 pounds. It didn't slow me down. She doesn't want to hear the truth. You know what? She doesn't get paid to hear the truth. Nobody in Washington gets paid to hear the truth. No, that's fine. When you allow her to speak, because when she speaks, she says things like, she wants gun control, but she has a loaded gun in her house, and if anybody breaks in, they're going to get shot. She said that on Oprah last month. Well, she gets a gun, but we don't. Okay, I get that. That's great. Well, that's the thing. Not all of them. Then we got to be careful because most of them do. You're right. Most of them do. However, there are a few of them that are pretty straightforward. You answer like Trump, no answer. I don't even understand what that means. I just answered a question. Let's see. Who got censored? 311 Cav. Michigan veteran and UAW worker voting for Trump. 100%. Why'd they censor that? I can see the censored stuff. 20 countries owe U.S. money. And God forbid they all send it back. I mean, if they send back the American dollars they're holding and turn it in for BRICS currency, that's 70% of our total currency is overseas. That would literally lead to hyperinflation instantly. Is Kamala working at McDonald's a hoax? Yeah, of course. Absolutely. She went to a private school in Canada, a very wealthy private school. Right. Well, governments are all bad. We know that. There's no such thing as a good government. There's only the one that you can tolerate. And Democrats will give the right to illegals. Well, at least for taxpayer-funded sexual reassignment. No, I know he does not. He talked to his buddies the next day, which was yesterday, and what he said to them was that he was really shocked at how happy-go-lucky, sort of funny and like loose and happy Donald Trump was, and that he sat there for 3 hours answering questions. He didn't go pee before he got there, and he didn't go pee before he left. He just got up and left, jumped on an airplane, and went straight to Michigan to do another rally. It's just amazing. Hey, he's got a hell of a lot of energy, man. I mean, Jesus, for his age, for my age, that's a lot. Answering, like, I do live streams, so I answer questions. And, when people get on here and argue with me, I have no problem with that. When they disagree with me, great. But it takes a lot of research to be able to answer questions. And it takes a lot of energy to be able to answer questions for 2 or 3 hours. No, he doesn't need a teleprompter, but boy, some of the shit that comes out of his face when he doesn't have one. Woo! He's got a stronger bladder than Harris. That's a fact. We can prove that now. Exactly. You're 33. Jesus, you're the only 33-year-old on here. I swear to God, I look at my stats. 18 to 35, nothing. 35 and over, everybody. It's usually 60% men, 40% women. Sometimes I get all the way up to 55%, 45% women, 55% men, almost exclusively in the United States. You're 18. Well, God bless you, TikToker 2006. Holy shit, was that the year you were born? That's crazy. That is nuts. We got an 18-year-old on here. That's pretty badass. All right, well, you give us hope for the Generation Z guys. Marianne, God. No. Oh, I'm not old yet. I'm still Generation X. We don't get old. We just get meaner and meaner and meaner and more isolationist. 17? What? I got a 17-year-old on YouTube. This is fucking awesome. I got underwear older than 18. You really want to admit that? Actually, now that I think about it, I do. I have a shirt that I bought when I moved here, and at Target, and it's fine. I can still wear it. 30 in your mind. Hey, That is probably all that really matters. They actually did a study. I read about this years ago, where they told a group of men in California that they wanted them to stop talking about the fact that they were in their 70s. They wanted to tell everybody, and they wanted to think about when they were 50. And they wanted them to act like they were 50, think like they were 50, do everything just like they were 50 again. They made them all go through this whole testing process to make sure that they really understood what that meant. And then they sent them out into the world to go do their thing. 90 days later, they had all of them come back after they'd done a full physical on them. Their bone density got better, their tendon strength, and their muscles grew. They got younger by thinking that they were younger and talking like they were younger. It's just a fact, guys. Stress kills you by making you old fast. But when you decide, I'm not old, well, you're not old. Look, when I was running around on the beach chasing a Frisbee the other day with my kid, the first 5 minutes, I was like, man, what is going on? I think I've lost a step. And I went, no. I'm not using that bullshit excuse. I didn't lose a step. I just need to take it up a notch. And I did. Ran up and down the beach all day long. Woke up the next day. I wasn't even sore. It was a blast. The 80s concert t-shirts. Well, yeah, those are special. Obviously, we don't wear those every day. 72, and I'm old. Well, you know what? 72, you're right on the edge of it. Like from 72 on to 72 is the average lifespan for a human. So if you're 72 and you're healthy, you might have 20 years left. But it's going to be more of the philosophical 20 years, not the lifting weights 20 years. Yes, definitely stop watching the news. You know, the thing is, I don't really watch news per se. I do watch, Forbes has some clips that they put on from time to time, and I'll watch those because all kinds of weird stuff pops up on the Forbes clips. A lot of it is policy shit, stuff that you'd only see on C-SPAN 8, you know, but it's a lot of hearings, a lot of congressional stuff. But like today, the comedian that spoke at the Trump rally in Madison Square Garden, they had his full shtick on there from the time he walked up to the time he walked off. And I got to tell you, I laughed my ass off. That was fun. He was really on the edge a couple times, but it was fun. Need more orange makeup. I'm fading. Yeah, that's because I haven't been in the sun. I've been working my ass off for the last week. 78, and I am not old. Outstanding. I love that attitude, man. Because, you know, that's it. I'm an insult comic. Well, he insulted some groups. He made a joke about the all the trash floating in the ocean, and then he said they call it Puerto Rico. In New York, you said that? Oh, that takes some guts, man. Who was the comedian? Because the Democratic platforms are insulted. All I know is that he's a gay comedian from. He spent most of his life in California, and he just recently moved to Texas. There's a shocker for you. But the guy is absolutely hilarious. Very, very, very salty humor. Like it, and he said, look, I'm not used to, doing gigs in front of people who aren't drinking a lot and have children with them. So, I'm going to try and dial it back a bit. See, it's all in your mind, man. Trump has comedic instincts. Yes. Well, it depends. I mean, if Kamala laughed at the right things, then that would be outstanding. If you take care of yourself, absolutely, you can live to be 100. Yes, Tony. Kill Tony shows. That's why. Okay, because he made a joke about the Clintons, and he was like, look, I don't want to unalive myself. I just want to make that clear after he made fun of the Clintons. However, everyone is telling me to slow down. Yeah, that's because they're jealous. They're envious. Don't slow down. When you're ripe, you begin to rot. Don't ever, ever, ever finish. That's one of the cool things that I got from Fight Club. You know, just keep evolving. Never, ever be finished. However, let's see. I never seen Trump laugh. I saw him laugh yesterday when I watched the Joe Rogan clips. I mean, like, lose his shit like Clinton did when he was talking to, who was it? It was not Gorbachev. It was the guy after Gorbachev. I forget his name. He lost it so bad that he literally stopped for 5 minutes and he was just crying, laughing. And I remember that the Russian was standing next to him, looking at him like, I mean, you know, what I said was funny, but it wasn't that funny, but it just hit Clinton just the right way. And man, he just started crying, laughing. He couldn't catch his breath. It was actually pretty funny to watch. Unfortunately, it was after that he went back to Russia. And in his first press conference, he said, wow, meeting Clinton was very interesting. He's the most communist American president in history. Boris Yeltsin, that's it. It was Boris Yeltsin. And Boris Yeltsin said he's the most communist American president I've ever met. There's no laughing in the Soviet Union. I don't know. I think they're all laughing at us right now. You know, we were going to destroy them because they've been our enemy for so long. Did you know that when Bill Clinton went to Moscow, Putin actually asked him if they could join NATO? True story. Now, the reason he asked was because he said, if we join NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, at that point, we're all in this together. We're all defending each other, and there's no bad guys. There's no good guys. It's just us. And, you know, look, we're all on the same side now. Communism's over. The Soviet Union is gone. Let's work together. And Clinton said, well, okay, you know what? I never even considered that, but I like the idea. I'm going to go back and I'll talk to my people about it. And he never spoke to Clinton again. Clinton never called him back, never talked to him again. That was it. Apparently he came home and the war hawks said, are you out of your fucking mind? You've already gutted our defense budget. What are you going to do now? Make friends with Russia? We'll have nobody left to hate. Like, who do we fight then? And they obviously came up with somebody because Russia made it so clear they didn't want to fight with us that we invented this nebulous term of extremist terrorism, the war on terror. And the war on terror, of course, can go on forever because as long as you're terrorizing people, there's a war on terror. No profit in it. No, there is no profit in peace. Not for the War Department. You know, they changed their name from the War Department to the Defense Department. I think that is very telling because up until the 50s, they were the War Department. And if they kept that honest name, people wouldn't want to give them so much money. But, you know, once they couch it in, hey, look, there's so many threats out there. There's so many threats out there. Everybody's a threat to us. Really? Why? Well, because they're a threat to us. Like, obviously, look, China wants to invade. No, they don't. They don't want to invade. They want to take over the world economically. So what do you do about that? You've been drinking the Kool-Aid. Who's Kool-Aid? Name the party that says that they don't want a DOD. We're a threat to ourselves and we're a threat to everyone else. Which they are. That's true. They are. Well, right now they're in a pretty precarious position. Their commercial real estate and their residential real estate is, I mean, it's dropped by 6% year over year. It's like their real estate market is in free fall now, like actually in free fall. 80% of the bonds on corporations in that country that are not AAA, so AA and below, 80% of those have missed payments in the last 36 months. It's not good over there. All wars end at a table. Now, why would they censor that? Because that is absolutely true. You moved your bed. My bed? No. Oh, I see. Glasses. Yeah, I finally dug these out. Got it. I was like, why would I move my bed? How would you even know that in here? So, why go to war at all? Well, because there's an enormous, enormous amount of money. Trillions of dollars are spent on wars, and trillions of dollars are spent on wars, and it all goes to the same small group of men. That's all. That's why we do it. I mean, it's that simple. There's literally no other reason to go to war anymore. There's none. Zero. It's all about money. So, obviously you ask yourself, well, if we're the wealthiest nation in the world, which we still are, then why do we need more money? Well, we don't need more money, you and I, but a lot of other people do. Let me turn off the Wi-Fi and turn it back on again. There. I know, it was glitching. It'll stop now. Boom. Now it'll stop glitching again. And we'll get like 15 comments in a row. Hello, caught your comment on Sean Ryan's show yesterday. Oh yeah, that was interesting, huh? I commented. I saw that they were talking about MK Ultra, and I have some personal experience with MK Ultra and the CIA, so I just threw a little comment in there for them because I thought they might be interested. The sad part is that that Jolly West is actually kind of a nice guy. I mean, he was always really cool to me, as far as I can remember. That's the scary part. Is it's like, oh yeah, he was my psychiatrist, and he wiped people's memories and implanted them with false identities. But I don't think he did that to me. Did he? I don't know. I mean, look, why would you do that to a 9-year-old? I don't know. Unless, of course, I was just programmed to only forget certain things. All right, no connection, and yellow, and now here we go. Sounds like a beer. All right, now, yep, we were lagging. I'm back now. Yeah, exactly. Funny how that works. Funny how the buffering thing just sort of accidentally happens whenever we talk about anything good. I was talking about MK Ultra. Oh, wow, look at that. You got censored for saying buffering. You said buffering already there, Earl. And they censored that. What the hell? Why would you do that? All right. Well, it doesn't look like we're lagging now. That's good. Did you answer my previous question about the next election? No, I didn't see it. It must have been one of the 10 that zipped by real quick. What about the next election? Shoot that one to me again. Because I am curious. A lot of people have a lot of questions about the next election. And, unfortunately, we're all just sort of hoping and praying that it's honest. I think the next election will look like if Trump wins. Oh, the next one after this. Oh, well, that's a good question. He could have an actual mandate pretty soon if he does the right things. How are foreclosures in the United States? They're going up rapidly. And by the way, the entire car market is absolutely collapsing. It's not just Stellantis and Chrysler, Jeep going out of business. They're filing for bankruptcy. The Dodge family is trying to buy the Dodge name back, which would be fantastic. I'd love to see that. But yeah, Trump, there's going to be a huge amount of pushback. They're going to try to block everything he does. They're going to continue to call him a dictator and a idiot and whatever else they can come up with. This isn't over if he wins. This is just the beginning. So are people buying their cars? Are they buying their cars? Nobody's buying cars right now. That's the problem. Stellantis has cars, brand new cars from 2022 sitting on their lot. Do I think silver will go up tomorrow? That's a great question. Let's see what it's doing right now overseas. Oh, good. It's down slightly. It's only down a few cents. That doesn't mean it's not going to go up, but usually if it skyrockets in Asia, that's a bad sign for us. But I'm surprised that it didn't do that. Where? I think you might have to be a little bit more specific than the word where, because I don't know what that means. If Kamala wins, who do you think will represent the Republican Party in the next election? Oh, J.D. Vance, obviously. No question. I don't know that there will be another election. I think Elon Musk put it best that, we've got 8, 10, 12 million people that came into this country under false pretenses as asylum seekers. Well, what people don't realize is that as asylum seekers, they don't have to wait 7 years to become citizens. They're fast tracked. They get their citizenship in 5, which means while she's president, if she becomes president, all of those people will immediately become citizens. And those are all people that are going to vote for her because she let them into the country, or the Democrats because the Democrats let them into the country. And they've all been sent to swing states. All of them. They've been sent, there are enough illegal immigrants in the United States right now in swing states that there will not be any swing states left. That was not an accident. They're not getting these people off of the airplane and saying, you should go here. They're sending them places. They were absolutely sent to swing states on purpose. They were sent there so they're no longer swing states. They will be absolutely Democratic states from this point forward. So there won't be any more real elections. It'll be Democrats and Democrats and Democrats and Democrats. That's it. Like if the only reason that you're here from Somalia or the only reason you're here from Nicaragua is because they let you into the country and gave you citizenship, you're not going to vote for them? Of course you are. Especially if they brought you in, gave you food, housing, a debit card with $1,600 a month to spend on it. I mean, yeah, they're spoiling these people on purpose. Don't the Republicans send them there? No. As a matter of fact, they tried to send them to New York and Chicago because those were asylum cities and or sanctuary cities. And what happened was the mayor of New York just deported, the Democratic mayor of New York just deported thousands of immigrants back to, he sent some to Chicago, but he sent most of them to Florida and Texas again. What is that? That's crazy. Well, thanks. I like you too. And I appreciate the fact that you found me. Make sure you do the thing with the, subscribe. That helps the algorithms too. So, wait, what was that? Something about, let's see. Learn more about the U.S. elections. I know quite a bit. I've seen several of them. If Kamala wins, could this start a new revolution in the Republican Party? That got censored, by the way, TikToker. I don't know why they censored you, but they did. That's a tough question. I would hope so. I would hope that that it would lead all of the independents with a little common sense, and all of the people who don't agree with the way that the Democrats operate, that they would all get together. I saw some of the rally. I didn't see all of it. That's what it says in your live stream. My live stream on YouTube. On my live stream on YouTube, it talks about the fact that I wanted to talk about the fact that bail-ins are way closer than we think. And that's scary. And I also went back and I made sure that, because I'd heard that there was legislation in the past couple of years based on what happened in Greece that gave banks the right to take our assets, take our deposits, and use them as equity in order to cover their losses. So they can literally take your money and cover their losses and just give you stock in their shitty companies. And that's a bail-in. They just don't give you your money back if they have financial troubles, which they all do. And so I thought, wait a minute, I need to go and check this because I don't understand how Cyprus, because Cyprus did that. The banks in Cyprus basically told people, hey, sorry, you can't have your money. Caused a hell of a shitstorm, but they did it. They said, no more, you can't have your money anymore. And the people in Cyprus were not happy. But guess what? They got away with it. And so some people think that, what's happening, Rodney? Some people think that that's what caused this, but I went back and double checked, and it says right here that which legislation allows bank bail-ins? The Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act of 2010, which is what I said it was, allows bank bail-ins. What are bank bail-ins? Bail-ins are a way for a struggling bank to recapitalize itself by converting debt into equity, which shifts some of the risks to creditors instead of taxpayers. Don't you love how they said that? Isn't that sweet? Look, we don't want taxpayers to have to bear the burden. So what we're going to do is we're going to shift our debt over to alleviate some of the problem by converting the debt into equity. What debt? Your accounts. Your accounts are debt. So they just shift them over to equity. Well, what's the difference between debt and equity? Bonds are debt. Stocks are equity. I know, I was a stockbroker. So what happens when you have equity instead of debt? Well, the senior debtors are always the people who own bonds because they are considered debt. So you pay the debts off first. And anything left of your corporation after that, and there never is anything left after that because you normally have to settle with the debtors on pennies on the dollar. But then after that, any money that's left over gets split up among the equity holders. And there's never any money left over for equity holders. So basically, they can take your deposits and use them to pay off their debts and tell you to go fuck yourself. That's what it says in the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act of 2010. Why were bail-ins introduced? Bail-ins were introduced in response to public outrage over the Troubled Asset Relief Program, TARP, and to limit the use of taxpayer funds to bail out banks. So instead of taxpayers bearing the burden, people who have money in the bank bear the burden. Wait, who has money in the bank? Well, everybody. That's who has money in the bank. Let's see something. Am I lagging again? This is bullshit. I'm getting tired. TikTok, you're pissing me off. I'm not lagging on YouTube. There we go. Holy shit, look at all these comments. Man, did you guys catch any of that stuff that I just talked about? Hello. Have a good one. You too, Michael. Let's see. Did you guys catch what I just said about bank bail-ins, or was that just bullshit? Okay, great. Thank you, TikTok, you sons of bitches. All right. So I'm going to reread barley. Barley can be good. All right. I'm reading from Google. What allows bank bail-ins? The Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act of 2010 allows bank bail-ins. What are bail-ins? Bail-ins are a way for a struggling bank to recapitalize itself by converting debt into equity, which shifts some of the risk to creditors instead of taxpayers. Oh, well, that sounds great, doesn't it? Except debt? What's debt? Your accounts, that's their debt. So they shift your accounts over to pay off their bad loans and get themselves out of debt by using your money. And then what do they do in exchange for that? Well, they give you equity. They give you stock in their company. That's what that says. 8Man, you got censored. It says, how is that protecting the consumer? It's not. Now, this is the best part. This is a part that I want you guys to hear. This is really important. Why were bail-ins introduced? Bail-ins were introduced in response to public outrage over the Troubled Asset Relief Program, TARP, and to limit the use of taxpayer funds to bail out banks. That's right. The government doesn't want us to use taxpayer money to bail out banks. They only want people who have money in the bank to bail out banks. Wait, don't pretty much all taxpayers have money in the bank? Yeah, they do. So instead of taking your tax money and giving it to the banks and letting them get fat on your tax money, they just take your money, all of it. Now, I don't know about you, but now that I know that naked short selling of silver is illegal and all of these huge banks have enormous short positions in silver, and they're losing $1 billion for every dollar that silver goes up, each one of them. Who decides when bail-ins are used? The banks. The banks decide that. It's up to them. And the reason is, one of the stipulations in the Dodd-Frank Act is that you no longer own the money. When you deposit your money into their account, it is now an unsecured loan that you are making the bank. They can do whatever the fuck they want with your money. It's not your money anymore. And so if they can't pay it back because they chose to take your money and instead of hold on to it like they promised, if they decide to use that money to get themselves out of debt, bad loans they made, i.e. credit cards, for one. By the way, credit cards are at $1.3 trillion and rising. And what are the amounts of credit cards that are going overdue by 60 days? It's enormous. 30 days doesn't mean shit. Lots of people go over by 30. 60 is where the line gets really clear. If you're 60 over, you're saying fuck it, because you know that it's affecting your credit score in a big way. So TARP was profitable for the government and taxpayers. You think so? Yeah, go back and really look at those numbers. Go back and really look at the numbers there. By the way, who handled TARP? Who decided which companies survived and which ones didn't get TARP? Who was put in charge of that entire Wall Street mess in spite of not having any track record whatsoever and a third-rate education? And I'm not joking. I mean, look, Stanford, in the real business circle, Stanford's considered a shit school. You go to an Ivy League school or you don't get into the top 1% of firms. And where did Larry Fink of BlackRock go to school? Northridge University, Cal State Northridge, a California state school. Yeah, not exactly a big winner. And guess what? Somehow he was put in charge of deciding who got TARP loans and who went under. So he let Lehman Brothers go under, but he bailed out AIG. And when it was all said and done, he was the most powerful man on Wall Street. Well, theoretically, the Federal Reserve does. If you fall below a certain amount, a certain percentage, and it used to be 50%, you had to have 50% of the depositor's money in the account. You could loan out the other half, and then they lowered it all the way down to 10%. The last I heard was during COVID, they lowered it to 0. You can have 0% of the people's loans in their account and loan out 100% of the money they give you. So you have no reserves. But I believe it's gone back up to a whopping 5% now. Let's check. Reserve requirements for banks. Let's see. Okay. It's back all the way up to 10%. So for every $1,000 you give them, they have to hold on to 100. And then they turn around and loan the other 900 out at 23% on a credit card. And they give you 1%. Wow, that's fair. What minimum would you keep in savings? None. I wouldn't keep any money in the bank right now at all that I didn't absolutely need to pay bills, period. If you have bills that come out automatically, auto pays, keep enough to cover those. Other than that, do not keep money in the bank right now. That is absolute insanity. Look, the reality is this. We got a dumpster fire for an economy. The shit's about to hit the fan. They're trying to hold it together until after the election before it all comes apart. So regardless who wins, they're going to be facing a huge amount of problems. But the reality is the equity market could fall apart at any moment. It could go up another 10, 15%. We don't know. We don't know what the black swan event is that will trigger that. What I can tell you, though, is that it will fall at some point. How much you lose, I don't know. If your money is in the bank, you will lose it. Period. Period. This entire system is set up to fail, and it will fail soon. Will it fail this week, this year, January? I don't know, but it will fail. There's no question about that. There are $685 billion in losses that the banks don't have to report right now because of an accounting trick that they did. But those will have to show up in the next 12 to 18 months maximum. That's not counting commercial real estate falling by, in some areas, 90%. $238 million building on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, purchased in 2016 by UBS. They held the paper on it. Sold for $6 million about a month ago. $238 million. 40-story building on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Sold for $6 million. You know why? Because it's worthless. You can't convert those. You can't make those living quarters for anybody. They're not designed for it. They don't have the infrastructure. They don't have the HVAC. They don't have anything. The HVAC is for entire areas of the floor, not rooms. It's not, these aren't designed for living quarters. There's no place to park. I mean, if everybody filled one of those buildings up every night, there's nowhere you could put the cars. So this is a huge issue, and it's not going away. It's only going to add. What is the amount of cash you can deposit? You can deposit at a time. Oh, trust me, Ray, you can put as much money in as you want. You can put as much money as you want. They'll take it all. And getting it back out is going to be a real nightmare. They will want to know what exactly you're doing with your money, and they will make it very difficult to get out. You have to remember, folks, I have people that ask me if they can pay cash for bullion, and then they go to the bank and they try to get out 10, 15, 20,000. Sometimes they have to wait 2 weeks. Is JP Morgan safe? Absolutely not. They hold more silver. They're shorted on more silver than anyone else, period. JP Morgan Chase is the second largest bank in the country behind Bank of America. And Bank of America, what do I think of Bank of America? Warren Buffett just sold all of his Bank of America. Why would he do that? Didn't give a reason, just sold it all. Don't listen to what the billionaires say. Watch what they do. Canadian banks? I don't know. But I can't imagine they are. If American banks go under, we will. I mean, look at the numbers. I mean, we've got literally dozens of trillions of dollars in our banks. If they fail, the couple trillion you guys have in your banks are toast. Somebody sent me a question mark. Well, I guess the good news is it didn't get censored. The bad news is I don't know what you're questioning. Do you take credit cards to buy silver? I mean, you can. It seems kind of silly that you pay so much more because it does cost more that way, unless you pay your credit card off at the end of the bank at the end of the month. Are you suggesting that it's risky to invest money in banks right now? No, I'm not suggesting it. I'm saying that I have never been more sure of anything in my life. The sun will come up tomorrow. Banks will fail. Those are the two things that I absolutely know for a fact. How can they not fail? There are so many things. There are so many things that they've done wrong. This is 2008 all over again without tax bailouts. They report anything over 10,000. Well, yeah, if in a withdrawal, absolutely. But they still make $10,000 a pain in the ass to get out. Who keeps the money? Which money? What do I think the polls are? Well, I know I've been watching. The polls are, and you know, the betting also is a good one. No such thing as a private bank, buddy. They're all public banks. So they all have the same FDIC insurance, and you know the FDIC is, look, they insure $9 trillion in assets, right? Okay, so $9 trillion. Do they have $9 trillion just in case? No, they have 126 billion. 126 billion to cover $9 trillion. So this whole thing about, well, it's up to 250 for a couple and 150 for no bullshit. That's absolute bullshit. Absolutely. Now I would suggest, unless you have several $1 million, that you buy silver first, because silver will make you more money. Can I hold my money in a credit union? Nope. Same system. It is the same system. Look, folks, it's time to start thinking like our great grandparents did. You know, our great grandparents, I can tell you to a person, hated banks. Everyone in the United States hated banks. When they tried to form the Federal Reserve Bank the first time, it was absolutely destroyed. There were literally protests, damn near riots in the street over it. And so they redressed it. They changed the name of it. And then they waited until Congress was at break to vote on it, which, by the way, best part, they never reached a quorum. I definitely think that Trump's going to win based on the poll numbers now. He's pulling away at light speed. Are we in hyperinflation? Not yet. Not yet. I'm hoping we don't go there, but you know, they're lowering rates and then inflation's still going up, and now they're starting to lower rates again. That literally is the most inflationary thing you can possibly do. We're up for a crisis that will be, I'm going to say, almost as bad as 1929. We are heading for a recession that a lot of people, when it's over, will say was a depression. And we'll argue about that for years. But the reality is we're in a very unique position because we're in an everything bubble. We're in a credit bubble. We're in a housing bubble. We're in an equities bubble. We're in a banking bubble. I mean, we've like everything at the same time. The last time around, we weren't in an equities bubble. The equity market dropped because the housing market was crushed. Well, this time the housing market's going to get crushed. It already is. The National Association of Realtors just declared that this is the worst year for home sales since 1995. Holy shit. You weren't even alive in 1995, dude. Literally, you weren't born for 11 years after that. That's how fucking bad the real estate market is. And it's not going to get better. They tried to cut rates and hoping that, you know, that would spur the real estate market. No, it didn't work at all. As a matter of fact, rates went up afterwards. Literally, mortgage rates went up after they cut by 50 basis points, which is a huge cut. 40 pounds of silver quarters. That is a good investment. Hold on to those. Okay, Modest Lobster got censored for this. If Trump wins, don't think he'll be able to open the pickle jar. Well, maybe he doesn't like pickles. I think that's okay then. He's right. It's terrible. And by the way, I talk to real estate agents all around the country all the time, and real estate brokers and mortgage brokers, because remember, you might be a real estate person who thinks the market sucks because you're new and you didn't realize there were 5 million people trying to sell real estate. But it's the guys who write the paper that own mortgage companies. They're the ones. Mortgage brokers really know what's going on, and they're not happy. 1 ounce equals approximately, I don't know what you're asking, but it's a 1/16 of a pound. 1 troy ounce is 1/12 of a troy pound, because there's 12 ounces in a troy pound. And 1 ounce equals about $34 right now at spot price. Are you absolutely certain that Trump is going to win? No, you can never be certain with electronic voting. Let's see. That is way better than silver ingots price per ounce. I know that a quarter is just over $6 right now. That's the melt price. You can get more than that for them, but each one of those quarters is worth quite a bit of money. And so you've probably got, if you've got 40 pounds of them, you've got, I'd have to guess a couple thousand of them. So, you probably got maybe between 60 and 120 grand. Congratulations. Let's see. Are we? No, we're still on. That's good. Let me check my live stream. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Yeah, credit unions are just as bad. Let's see. No, they're not. Rodney, you're arguing with yourself. Why are you arguing with yourself on YouTube? Oh, more stuff coming through. Over 250,000. Well, here's the problem, Ray. If they have 126 billion to cover 9 trillion, well, copper's not bad. It's cheap, but it's not as much of a currency yet. I mean, it may become one again. The great capitalism experiment is showing cracks. All experiments show cracks. The great capitalist experiment has been bastardized and hybridized, so now it is corporate oligarchy. That's not capitalism. We have socialism for big corporations and bootstrap capitalism for the rugged individuals who get screwed. That's not true capitalism. Capitalism can work, but only if you let it work, which means let the rich fuckers fail when they make stupid mistakes. When they get so arrogant that they start playing loose and fast, let them collapse. Definitely buy silver coins. And the reason I say that is because bars don't seem like money to people. Now, if it's a gold bar, that's fine, as long as it's small and they can test it. But, is Trump up in Pennsylvania? I believe he is. I believe he's up basically everywhere now. Like, it's not even close anymore. That's the crazy part. It looks like the swing states are all for him. Yeah, well, that's the point, is they literally are, how do you think you get super wealthy? You don't do it by, working hard and getting an honest day's labor, blah, blah, blah. No, that's why, when Christ said that, a camel shall pass through the eye of a needle more easily than a rich man into the kingdom of heaven. That's not one of those things that you can, what he really meant. No, that's not what he said. This is what he said. Well, but what he said wasn't what he meant. Oh, well, why do you say that? Well, because I'm a televangelist and I live in a 300-room mansion. That's why. American Christians have become very cool with the idea of, I can have obscene amounts of wealth and still go to heaven if I'm a Christian. Yeah, good luck with that, asshole, because it ain't going to happen. That's literally going against what it says. The bottom line is, affluence is fine. Living comfortably, not a problem. You want to have enough money to take care of your kids and your grandkids? Cool. You want to amass $75 billion? What for? What's the point? What are you going to do with that? Well, it's none of your goddamn business. We could be as rich as we want. Not if you're doing it by cheating. let's see, are the undecided voters younger in age? A lot of them are. Yeah, a lot of them are. A lot of them, and again, unfortunately, the younger generation sees, is watching, videos and seeing all their hip hop heroes talking about how awesome Kamala is, and it's like, all right, I mean, the reason I don't like her is because I study econ. So as an economist, I don't like her. Now, as a hip hop fanatic, which I'm not, but if I were, I'd probably love her because, well, hell, Eminem said she was good, and Leonardo DiCaprio said we have to vote for her today. I don't know how much Leonardo DiCaprio has studied econ. I know that that all of the people that I've seen screaming at the top of their lungs that she's got to get elected to save the world, they're the same people that are on that suspicious P. Diddy list. Women are putting her in office. Well, a lot of women don't like her. Look, women aren't stupid. That's the thing. A lot of people are like, oh, well, black people are going to vote for her. No, she's not black. That's a fact. And if you watch Candace Owens, she's literally traced down her entire genealogy. And it's like, okay, so yeah, Eastern Indian. Yeah, absolutely. Irish, you betcha. Crickets, crickets. Well, where's the African? Crickets, crickets. Oh, no shit. So her ancestors were rich slave owners? Crickets, crickets. Oh, so this whole persona of hers is all bullshit. She lied over and over and over and over. In all of her books, she's lied about who she is, where she's from. What is that? And women are just going to vote for her, and black men have to vote for her. That is the most racist thing I've ever seen in my life. To just assume that you have to vote for her because of the color of your skin. What? Wait, you're telling people to vote for her because her skin is dark? So you're saying we should pick the president simply based on skin color. Now, wasn't that what they did in the 1800s that was so fucking racist? But now it's okay because it's a different skin color. So it's only white people you can't vote for because you can't trust them. Okay, I got you. All right. By the way, did you see that the New York City mayor, who is actually African American for real, he said that he does not consider Donald Trump a dictator, and he doesn't think that he's dangerous, and that the people who say that should be very careful about the language that they use. What? Wait, Mayor Adams? Well, you're as liberal as they fucking get. You are as liberal as they get. You literally declared your city a sanctuary city for illegals. Now, of course, he has had a little bit of a change of heart now that he's deporting them. But think about it. That's effective action for you. Did you mean affect instead of effect? Because they're obviously two different words with very different meanings. And to take on the affect of someone is what Kamala Harris does. She takes on a Southern affect when she needs to, or a Jamaican one, or whatever. I haven't heard her English accent yet, though. I understand it's very good, though. Remember what Biden said. Biden has said a lot of really, really stupid things. And I'm not talking about affirmative. That's affirmative action for you. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is that I thought affirmative action was kind of racist too, because when I worked in financial services, when I was in the Marine Corps, there's a lot of places where I've dealt with a lot of extremely intelligent Black people. They're not stupid, so why are we treating them like they're stupid? That seems pretty toxic, actually. But, you know, hey, that's what Kamala Harris and Obama are trying to do. They're trying to say, look, you have to vote for her because of, look, she's darker than them. And it's like, okay, but she's not black at all, even a little bit, even though she said she was, and even though she talked about, like, she even mentioned something about being African American at one point. You notice she's not doing that anymore at all. You notice she doesn't talk about that at all anymore. Thank you, Candace Owens, who's actually African American. And she just lowered the boom on her over that and said, look, you are despicable. No, I didn't say that because I don't want to get banned on TikTok, but Candace Owens did say that. And I don't disagree with her. So you haven't checked in for a while. No, you're not, was in reference to the lagging question. Oh, I looked up and said, are credit unions just as bad? No, you're not. What? Okay, I gotcha. Leopards never change their spots. No, they don't. And interestingly enough, if you shave a tiger's ass, guess what? It's got stripes on its skin. So even if Kamala Harris shaved completely, which I think would actually look pretty funny, but she'd still be the same Kamala Harris, which is a social climber, a liar, a cheat, and a thief at this point. Because look, the people like that, I've dealt with people like that in the past, and man, I got to tell you, the story that really summed it up for me was her first day in office. Affordable again, that's a great one. Her first day in office, she walked into the presidential briefing room and stopped and looked around. And then she said very loudly, "Why isn't everyone standing?" And somebody at the table said, well, Madam Vice President, we only stand when the president walks in. And she said, well, you're going to stand from now on when I walk in too. Which, by the way, led to a hilarious set of leaks because everybody in the room was like, oh, shit. This is her first day and that's how she opens? This literally happened. You can go back and look. There were a bunch of people that were like, oh, what the fuck are we up for now? Like, this is going to be a long 4 years. Nowhere right now, Earl. Honestly, I'd rather just bury dollar bills in a coffee can. If I wasn't going to put it in silver and gold, I wouldn't put it anywhere else. I mean, unless you know how to swing trade. Yes, when she was vice president. When she became vice president, she was furious. And that's the way a lot of staffers described it. She would, because you have to remember, there are people in this room who are waiting for the president to come in, and the president comes in last, obviously. There are people waiting for the president to come in who have been in government now for 20 or 30 years. They've seen it all, man. You know, they saw George Bush, George W. They saw Obama. They saw Trump. They've seen it all. And this woman walks in, the vice president, who nobody has any respect for already because she got fucking slaughtered in the debates. She was just she had her ass handed to her by Tulsi Gabbard and dropped out of the race before anyone else did. And then she accidentally ends up as a DEI hire because, well, she fits all the pronouns. So now she walks in and she does that. Oh, shit. Like, you can only hope that somebody with literally zero qualifications to have that job is at least humble enough to realize that they got lucky. But that is never how it works. They actually did a study. Shirley B, didn't she want to be called the general? I don't know. What's happening, Bacon Dude? But they did a study, and this was really interesting. It was either Rutgers or Harvard. I can't remember which one. Good psych department. So I'm going to guess maybe Harvard because their medical department's pretty good. And the head of their medical department is actually a psychiatrist. They did a study where they gave a bunch of grad students a Monopoly game to play. And they set it up a little differently. They gave one grad student a big head start, more money. They started him off with properties, the whole 9 yards. Like he had a big head start or she had a big head start. And so almost inevitably they would win. And then when asked afterwards why they thought they won, only one person said, well, because I started with more. Everyone else said the same thing. Because I'm a better player. Because my strategy was more sound. What? Are you shitting me? What about the fact that you had an enormous lead? No, that didn't really play into it. Oh my God. Like the human ego is fucking nuts. Right. What does Tulsi Gabbard say about her? Nothing good. No, go and look it up on YouTube. Not now, because you're on the live stream and you're the only Generation Z guy I've got here. So hang. But yeah, Tulsi Gabbard. Well, let me put it this way: Tulsi Gabbard went from a lifelong Democrat to becoming a Republican because of this race. Literally because of this race. At the beginning of the year, she was still a Democrat. Think about that for a second. As a congresswoman, she was a Democrat. And now she's made it very clear that she can no longer be a Democrat. Did you write that again, Earl? Because my answer hasn't changed in the last 5 minutes. I don't see. Oh, I know. You know what? That's my fault because I started to answer your question and then I was interrupted by me. Look, if you know how to swing trade, if you want to learn how to swing trade stocks, then that would be the thing to do. You can swing trade stocks and you can make a tremendous amount of money doing that, whether the market goes up or down. But that's not an easy thing to do. See, that's the problem. It's not rocket surgery. I mean, you can learn it, but it takes a little bit of time. And then you have to have, I would say, if you really want to, I mean, initially an hour might do it, but 2 hours a day. If you can do it for 2 hours a day and you can really study swing trading, take Jay Bravo's course on YouTube. He does his videos on YouTube, but Jay Bravo actually does a course that he sells on his own website. But it's excellent. I've taken it myself. You know, even though I'm a stockbroker and I understand Bollinger Bands and RSI and whether something's overbought or oversold, all that stuff, I just thought, you know, this guy's got a great track record. He kicks ass at swing trading, and he puts all of his trades up there, so you know if he's winning or losing. He's not one of these guys that sort of doesn't put up the bad ones and only puts up the good ones. No, he puts up all of his trades every day. This is what I'm doing. Some people just trade what he trades, which is cheating. But initially, you know, I mean, if you got money and you want to just sort of jump in there and do what he's doing, he's cool with that. He's fine with it. But yeah, he goes by Jay Bravo on YouTube, and he's a dork. He's a goofball. And he's starting to get a little bit more political. I get it. I understand why he's getting very political right now because he was in the Army. He's been a cop. He's owned a dozen businesses. You know, he was making more money when he was 18 than both of his parents combined. So they kicked him out of the house. They were like, "We ain't fucking paying for you anymore." So you know, the guy's been very successful. He's also a professor. He's got a master's degree in econ. He was going for a PhD when he realized it's just a stupid waste of money. So didn't bother. Is Hillary Clinton endorsing Kamala? That's a very good question. I'm sure she has. She must have by now. I find the fact that Dick Cheney, who, you know, we used to call Darth Vader, you know, that endorsement is one I would have never, ever, ever made public. I would have never said Dick Cheney was endorsing me. Dick Cheney led us into 2 wars that cost us $8 trillion and several thousand American lives on false pretenses, provably false pretenses. He absolutely 100% unequivocally fucking lied, and American kids died because of it. And I know a lot of guys who are super fucked up to this day because of it, like really screwed up, because you don't accidentally kill children and then walk away from that without being completely, totally broken for the rest of your life. especially if you did it as a parent. If you're a parent and that happens, you don't ever unsee what you've done, even if it was a complete and total misunderstanding, which war 90% of is total misunderstanding. If you go back and you look at all the drone strikes that Obama did, 50% or more of them turned out to be wrong. We just dropped fucking hellfires on people that we thought were bad guys. That's a fact. So that was all Dick Cheney. Look, if you think that George W. Bush knew what was really going on behind the scenes, that's a beer drinking guy who owned part of the Texas Rangers. He drilled, something like 18 oil wells, never hit a drop of fucking oil. Literally never hit oil in Texas. That's kind of hard to do, but he managed to screw that up. So he went from oil man to becoming part owner of the Rangers, which actually did make him some money. And he said when he was president that he was looking forward to not being president anymore, so he could just go and hang out, drink beer, and watch his Rangers. Why are we so into war? It's because that's the number one moneymaker. That's it. That's the number one moneymaker in the world right now. That and a usury banking system run by a small group of people who steal all of our wealth. So either the banking system steals our wealth or the Defense Department steals our wealth. But if we eliminated those two groups of people from stealing our wealth and only gave them enough to survive and not destroy our country, we would literally all have 10 times the amount of money we have now without any other consequences. It wouldn't be like, oh, well, housing would be 10 times more. No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't be like, oh, well, food would be 10 times more. No, it wouldn't. But we would have 10 times as much money because that's the way it used to be before the usury system was put in place. The Federal Reserve Bank is a privately owned company. Oh, now granted, the president decides who gets to be the chairman of it, but the federal government doesn't own it. We, the taxpayers, don't own it. It's a private company put together by a bunch of rich bankers who wanted to destroy the entire U.S. economy for their own good. And over the last 100 years, the American dollar has lost 98% of its value. They won. Now, when it collapses completely, those same people, that same small group of extremely wealthy men will come to us and say, wow, that really sucked that you guys fucked that up, but here, we're going to fix it. That's exactly how they do it. And what they'll do is they'll give us a central bank digital currency. That way they can control the currency better and they can keep us from our most wanton objectives, which of course is to waste money and go bankrupt all over the place. Didn't Cheney own Halliburton? No, actually, I'm glad you asked though, because that's an interesting story. Dick Cheney was the Secretary of Defense. So as a Secretary of Defense under the first Bush, he left office when Bush left office, and he went to work. Never having worked in the private sector before, he became the CEO of Halliburton. Just right off the bat, just boom, CEO. Well, how did he do that? How do you become the CEO of a major oil field corporation if you've never been in corporate business before? If literally you used to hang telephone wires. You were a power pole worker, and now you're a CEO of a major corporation? Well, that seems kind of odd, doesn't it? I mean, but here's what happened. While he was in the Defense Department as the Secretary of Defense, Halliburton came to him and they said, we realized that having the military do all of their own stuff is very cumbersome. Like, they cook for themselves, they clean their own clothes, they do everything themselves. They clean their own bases. It seems like it would just be way, way easier and probably more cost effective if you had an independent company come in and do all of the services surrounding their ability to fight. So we will make sure that they have all of the things that they need, that the cooking gets done, that the laundry gets done. We'll do everything for you. And you guys focus on defending our country for just a small fee. And he said, you know what? That is a fantastic idea. I'm going to run that up the chain of command and let's see if we can't get that done. Well, as soon as he left office, he became the CEO of that company. And then Clinton took over. And Clinton completely fucked it up. I mean, God, what an idiot. He slashed the military budget. And for what? Why would you cut the military budget? Okay, now I get it. We've been in Cold War for 40 years at that point, and our only enemy really was the Soviet Union, and they collapsed completely and utterly in 1989 and 1990. And the wall fell down in Berlin, and well, yeah, there was nobody left to fight. So Clinton did something really fucking stupid. He cut the military budget. And then he started spending money on stupid shit like education and infrastructure. What an asshole. Well, needless to say, that really pissed some people off. Mostly people in like, I don't know, PNAC, the Project for a New American Century, who said in a letter to Clinton, we really need to rebuild the military. There are dangers out there that we're facing that you're not aware of. And of course, Clinton laughed it off because what fucking dangers? Like, what dangers? There's no dangers here. This is stupid. We've already won the Cold War. There's no war. Then they wrote a letter, an open letter, basically, to each other and to the public that said that if they were going to rebuild America's defenses, it was going to take a catalyzing event like another Pearl Harbor in order to get Americans to wake up to the reality that we needed to spend more money on defense, a lot more money on defense. 9 months later, coincidentally, 9/11 happened. Now, I know you're thinking, well, what the fuck are the odds that the timing was that good? It's pure coincidence. So 9/11 happens, and instead of 3,000 men being lost, we lost 2,960 Americans. Almost exactly the same amount that we lost in Pearl Harbor. We were attacked by an enemy that we didn't see coming. A day that will live in infamy. Oh, wait, that's Pearl Harbor. Anyway, so the bottom line is they got their Pearl Harbor event, and then Dick Cheney, as the Secretary of Defense, as the Vice President, hired Donald Rumsfeld as the Secretary of Defense. Now, he'd already been the Secretary of Defense as well. Now, wait, why would a guy go from Secretary of Defense to Secretary of Defense in a different cabinet? It's not how you do it in Washington. You move up or you just leave, because you can make millions of dollars as a lobbyist and do nothing. Literally. You drink martinis with a bunch of assholes who call themselves Democrats or Republicans, and you make an enormous amount of money doing literally nothing. Literally fucking nothing. All you have to do is say, I got some clients that would really, really like to see this legislation passed. Oh, okay, well, it's not real popular. Yeah, but you know what? I'll bet it would make you really popular with my donors. Yeah, I'll see what I can do. Done. That's your work for the day. You just bribed a politician legally to pass a piece of legislation that is anti-American and won't help anyone. However, fuck Americans, because they're a bunch of dumb, lazy bastards who don't do anything. They're fat, they're sick, and they're preoccupied with which football team the Kardashians are sleeping with this week. Yeah, that's what happened. In a nutshell. See, that's the problem with paying attention. When you pay attention, you see all these things, and then you remember them, and then you see more of them, and you remember them too. Somerville, Ohio. You guys putting your cats away? You keep your dogs inside the house at night? I'm just messing with you. Although, am I really? Because the thing is, when you take people from a country where they literally don't have zoos left, because they've been so poverty stricken that they will literally eat pigeons that they catch in the park. And then your cats and dogs start to disappear. Does anybody really think that that's odd? I mean, look, we're rich, so we consider, cats and dogs pets. In some parts of the world, they're still considered food, as much as that makes a lot of middle-aged women who have cats go, no, I would claw their eyes out. Yeah, I know. SPCAs. Oh, you know what? That's actually a really interesting idea. That's a very interesting idea, because that's where you'd find all the stray cats and dogs, right? So if there's a total lack of them in one city or another, and then you find out that there's also a huge explosion in people coming there looking for, asylum. I mean, some people come from countries where, there's plenty of food, but there are a lot of countries where, look, 70% of the people on Earth don't have toilets. Are you shitting me? They don't have indoor plumbing. Therefore, they don't have toilets. That's 70% of the population of the planet. That's why when I rant and rave about how crooked the system is, that doesn't mean that I don't get off of here and still enjoy my HBO or my Cinemax or whatever, or watching the UFC. We're extremely, extremely lucky. That doesn't mean that our luck holds out. It means that we still have to fight when somebody does something like says, hey, I'm going to take your kid, and if they come to this state, then you don't get to, know that they're here. And we will give them a sexual reassignment if they request it, and we won't tell you. And if you try to get to them, if you find out where they are and you try to come get them, we will lock you up for child abuse. Thank you, Washington State. But if these animals are being put down because nobody wants them, in a weird way, they had a purpose. Well, Earl, from strictly the, Darwinian point of view, I suppose that's true. Although I think you probably don't want to put your home phone number on your bio now, because there's going to be a lot of cat ladies who want to, unalive you for saying that. Just saying. And, look, when people say crazy cat lady, do I think that is a pejorative term? No. Why? Because I know what toxoplasm is. Toxoplasm, by the way, is it's shit. What's the word? This is one of those words I struggle with. Parasite. Thank you. It's a parasite. It's a parasite it's a very strange parasite. It's a parasite that's in virtually all cats, and it's transmitted to cats from mice. When mice get toxoplasm, they become cat-seeking missiles. The toxoplasm attacks a part of their brain that regulates fear, and they immediately go find a cat and attack it. Now, we all know how that ends up. So the cat eats the mouse, and then the cat has toxoplasm. And then the cat goes poop, and, well, guess what? Toxoplasm can be spread by dust. So then women go in and change their litter box, and they get toxoplasm, which does affect women. As a matter of fact, doctors will tell you that pediatricians will say, if you're pregnant, do not touch your litter box. Don't go anywhere near it. And why is that? Well, because toxoplasm has effects. Not too many on men for some odd reason, but the effects are quite marked in women. The way that they dress, their driving, they literally drive more dangerously. They take more risks. They are much more promiscuous, which is why I always ask a woman when I meet her, by the way, do you have cats? And if she says, yes, I have 8. I say, great, I love you. Let's get married. Yeah, toxoplasm is not a joke. In a pregnant woman, it can lead to toxoplasmosis. Thank you. The parasite's called toxoplasm, but it's called toxoplasmosis. You almost died from it. Jesus, dude, that's really bad. Are the Obamas also trying to bring the Democratic Party to power again? Again, they're in charge, dude. They're the ones making the rules right now. The Republicans are the alternate team right now, and I don't think the Obamas are doing their part. I don't. People say that they're the masterminds behind stuff. Look, that's not. I don't think that's the case. There are people that are in power behind the scenes that you never know their names, you never know their faces, and that's the way they want it because they don't want to be famous. They don't have a huge ego. They've got no ego. They have a plan, and they want their plan to be enacted. And in some cases, it's a plan that was passed down to them by their fathers and their grandfathers or their mothers. And, it's a plan for a long-term solution to what's wrong with the world, which in some cases is you and me. And they have a plan to fix that. That's the scary part, is they actually think that they're fixing it. There have been lots and lots of cases in history where men that thought they were doing the right thing did horrible atrocities. Uh-oh. Somebody's going to lose their subscription benefit soon. That's terrifying. On their car warranty, because I think my car warranty is almost up. Can you call me about that? Which Democratic candidates do you actually think are sound? Well, there's a few. Let me think. I know that there's a couple. There's that one. That's a good question. I would have said Bernie Sanders a few years ago. I actually like Bernie Sanders. I don't think RFK is a Democrat anymore, though. I don't know, but look, he wants to serve in the Obama White House, so maybe he's still a Democrat. Man, that's a tough one though, because Bernie Sanders turned out to be, a lot of people are like, oh, he's a sellout. He used to rail against millionaires. Now he sold books and he's a millionaire. Look, I don't give a shit about that. Look, if you wrote a book and people want to read your book and it makes you money, well, God bless you. At least you're not, front running stocks and doing insider trading because you're in the Senate. That's bullshit. The way he made his money is honest. Well, what's wrong with a book author making money? So I don't hold that against Bernie Sanders at all. I think it's fucking great that he's a millionaire finally, If anybody deserves it, he does, because he earned it. He wrote a fucking book. He did something. He produced a product that people wanted. That's how you become wealthy. Not by stealing it because you have insider knowledge because you're in a position of power. That's not making money. That's taking money. There's a big difference. But I don't like Bernie Sanders anymore because he has no spine. Every time he started to run and he started getting a little traction, first it was Hillary came along and just kicked him out of the way and told him, get the fuck out of my way. He was, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm all for Hillary. No, you're not. You're not for Hillary. You can't stand Hillary Clinton. And you make that very clear right up until she tells you to get out of the way. So, he has no spine, but at least when he talks about anything other than his nomination being lost, he seems to be honest, and I don't agree with his policies at all, but that's the whole point. I don't have to agree with somebody. As long as they're saying something's true or something that they believe is true because they've done the numbers, then, hey, let's look at the numbers. Maybe you're right. Maybe there's something that the Republicans should be doing that they're not doing. Maybe there's something independents need to know. This whole tribal thing where, no, if a Democrat says it, it's got to be wrong. That's just stupid, it really is dumb. It's just so tribal. What do you think the real masterminds behind the Democratic Party are then? Banks, big pharma, insurance companies, and now, obviously, defense contractors. The military-industrial complex is 100% Democratic now. We didn't we push the Japanese into war by cutting off their oil? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. We knew ahead of time. They made it very clear that if you cut off our oil, you don't leave us any choice. Well, there you go. Private equity, yeah, banks. But private equity firms that's a fancy term for bankers, very, very rich bankers. But it's all the same, and that's unfortunately, if you said who controls the Republican Party, I would say the Department of Defense, big banks, and big oil. So instead of pharma, oil. But other than that, insurance companies lean more Democrat, pharma leans more Democrat, and big oil totally leans Republican. That's it. So they've all got their big donors who buy them 100%, and what we get is what's left over. That's why when legislation is extremely popular among voters, it has a 13% chance of being enacted. 13%. That's with a huge favorability rating from voters across the board, Democrats and Republicans. If lobbyists pour money into any type of legislation, they have a 90% chance of getting that legislation passed. So the problem isn't really the Democrats and Republicans. It's lobbyists. It's allowing politicians to make money based on their positions. That has to stop. If you want to be a politician, go be a politician. But don't do it because you want to get rich. If you're already rich, you can't be a politician. I'm sorry. Like if you're affluent, that's fine. But if you have $500 million and you decide you want to run for mayor, wait. I'm sorry, Michael Bloomberg, but you want to run New York City? You're a billionaire, a multi-billionaire, and you want to run New York City. Something smells really, really odious about that. Trump is morally corrupt and an old demented man. Morally corrupt, I'm borderline on that. But demented, not even a little bit. Trump's only in it to stay out of jail. No, I doubt that very seriously. Legalized bribery. Yeah, that's true. And everybody does it. Elon is in it for Fed contracts. Oh my God. You literally are regurgitating every single thing Rachel Maddow says. I'm sorry, Linda, but you just killed your credibility. That's a bridge too far. To say Elon Musk invented Tesla because he wanted government. How many Teslas does he sell to the government? None. Oh, by the way, PayPal. When he started PayPal, did he go after any government contracts for PayPal? No, he didn't. When he started SpaceX, he said, look, you're spending $2 billion to send a rocket to space. I'll do it for $65 million. Fact. So if he's doing it for government contracts, why doesn't he fuck the government over like Raytheon or Boeing? Huh? He could get $2 billion. That's what the going price has been. Look, you want to send a rocket into space, it's going to cost $2 billion. Unless, of course, Elon does it. He'll do it for $65 million. That's why they're still using him, because they realize they need him now. Who just rescued those astronauts? Was that NASA? Oh, no, it wasn't. It was Elon Musk. Yeah, money buys a lot of shit, but it doesn't buy you influence. Not if you're Elon Musk and you've never built a rocket before in your life and you're going up against Boeing and Raytheon and Lockheed, by the way, some of the biggest insiders in the entire world. How am I lying? What did I just say that's a lie? Linda, come on, you're embarrassing yourself. There's 200 people on here and they're reading what you're saying. So say something intelligent. Like, oh, you're a liar. Okay, about what? What exactly did I misinform you about? Because I do my research every day. But I think maybe that she's new here and she doesn't understand. Wake up, money buys. Yeah, and guess what? Sun shines. What's your point, though? I mean, come on, you're just regurgitating words that mean nothing. Money buys. Okay. So did you know that Elon Musk was within a few $1 million of being bankrupt when he started SpaceX? He had no money. Literally, he spent the last amount of his money on the last rocket. And the last rocket that he shot into space, the only one that really worked, was made of spare parts. Okay, but I'm saying, look, Elon Musk was a pissant compared to these titans of industry like Lockheed and Boeing. You're saying that oh God, Linda, come on, you're embarrassing yourself. Well, you're a bullshitter. You're just full of bullshit. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Okay, well, you're going to have to do better than that. Look, I know TikTok's full of, girls that dance with no bras on, but this ain't that channel, baby. You're in the wrong space for that. So either step it up and prove that your IQ is larger than your shoe size, or go somewhere else. Because BS, you're full of poo-poo. You're poo-poo head. You're just poo-poo. I'm rubber, you're glue. You bounce off me, it sticks to you, fart face. That shit ain't going to work with me, baby. So, all right. So like I was saying, Elon Musk was broke, and he was going up against companies that spend hundreds of millions of dollars a year buying Democrats and Republicans. That's it. Oh my God. Guys, they censored this comment for Linda. Thank God for her, but you're going to love this. You ready for some red meat, kids? Here it is. I'm going to read her censored comment because, Linda, I read all the censored comments. I don't let anybody get censored on my channel. It says, I live in San Francisco, and no, Elon, you're 5. I could tell that somebody with your absolutely stellar intelligence must know Elon. Oh my God, I bet you cheat too. They didn't censor that one. They probably could have. Wow. So you know Elon and you hate Elon, but you do love shit on your sidewalks. And you love having to leave your windows down at night so they don't break in to cars. No, I grew up in California, and I used to spend all my weekends in San Francisco, at Berkeley actually, because I loved all the really smart people there. But guess what? They left. I'm spreading misinformation. What exactly is misinformation? That Elon Musk wasn't within just a few $1 million of going bankrupt after his second rocket blew up and didn't make it into orbit, and it looked like he was going to completely fail, and he went to his employees, which, by the way, aren't in San Francisco, honey buns. Right, they're in Los Angeles. He went to his people and said, can we make one more rocket out of parts? And they said, we could probably make one more rocket out of parts. And then he went to a couple of his very rich friends and said, hey, you guys think I could borrow like just a little bit of money? And they said, how much? And he said, like maybe 300 million. And they said, well, that's not a little bit, but okay, we can do that. So they loaned him the money. And guess what? That rocket worked. And from then on, he has been kicking NASA's ass, which of course means he's been kicking Lockheed's ass and Boeing's ass. Focus on someone else. I like focusing on you. You're low-hanging fruit, as we say in the industry. You're the one who just sort of puts a spotlight on themselves and then starts saying silly shit out loud that everybody goes, whoa, that's crazy. But it's okay. I don't mind crazy. Shit, I married crazy once. I'm still friends with her. We could be friends, Linda. I think you'd like me. If you really got to know me, it's true. Once you realize that I'm actually really humble. You know, I mean, for how fucking smart I am. Kick rocks. That's a grandma. I haven't heard that in a long time. I think the last time I heard that was like, oh, by the way, that got censored. John, you big bully. You're bullying Linda, and you got censored for bullying. I'm sure that's what it was. Emphasis on the fruit part. If Trump wins, what technology can Elon facilitate the government with? Oh, he's literally, he doesn't want technology. What he wants is he wants to go in and cut out entire parts of the government, which, I mean, my God, I don't know when, when that's going to be. Like, I don't know how you would do that. Like, if he went in and he said, look, I'm going to get rid of the Department of Education. Okay, I'm fine with that. I'm looking through the numbers right now. The deficit tracker, which is a bipartisan group, that when they said their outlays, let's see, some of the outlays were just shocking, but one of them was that they keep giving more and more and more money. When I saw it, it was the Department of Education, and I just thought, my God, why are we giving them money? Like, why give them any money? Like Department of Agriculture, okay, some of that makes sense to me. Yeah, we are having fun. I hope we didn't lose Linda. I love you, Linda Ryan. You gorgeous little Democrat, you. I wish there was a picture of her. You think she's hot? She might be hot. You know what? I think she and I should debate somewhere in person. Let's see. IRS. Why not cut defense spending? Max, you fucking kidding me? There's enemies everywhere. Everywhere. There's probably some enemies right here under my desk that I don't know about. We're surrounded by enemies. People hate us. Do you know why they hate us? I'll tell you why they hate us. Because we got fucking freedom. Not entirely, but we've got some freedom. Well, we have less than we used to have. But anyway, that's not the point. They fucking hate us for our freedom. It's not because we bomb their countries and we kill their kids and their villages and wipe out entire countries. That's not why they hate us. She could be a gorgeous little Democrat. Look, I'm not giving up on Linda. Linda and I are going to be married someday. I can feel it. When she's not throwing fucking dishes at me, oh yeah, it's going to be party time. We're talking baby oil and bed sheets. Wait, that doesn't match. Shower curtains. That's what it was. Okay, let's see. We spent $44 billion on the Department of Education in 2023. Oh, between July of 2023 and July of this year. We spent $44 billion on the Department of Education. What? Oh, it's hard not to love sarcasm and Paul Harvey. We all love Linda. Everybody's got a Linda in their life. For how long? I assume you're talking about my torrid relationship with Linda. It could go on for a long time. I am pretty fucking stubborn. I wrote a fake ad once, put it in the singles thing on back when Craigslist had them, so a long time ago. And I said that I was a passive aggressive man looking for a codependent woman that I could argue with for hours before finally convincing her that she was wrong, and then she could make it up to me by making passionate love to me. And obviously it was a joke. I mean, any idiot would read that and go, that's got to be a joke, right? I only got two kinds of responses. One was women saying, I read your ad, and I just want you to know that if that is the type of humor that you have all the time, I want to meet you. Because you're either one sick fucker or you're one sick fucker with a great sense of humor. And every single one of the girls I met with, even if I wasn't attracted to them, super fun. Had a great time. The other ones were Linda. Well, you really need to seek help. Let me tell you something. I know people like you who don't, and blah, 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 and on and on and on and on. Like paragraphs of advice about what to do. They were actually the most fun because I would literally call them and go, look, you know what? I think you're right. I think I need help. Can you help me? It's a social experiment. It wasn't long lived because Craigslist was like, when they finally figured out what I was, they read the ad, they were like, dude, you can't do that. We just had a 25% dropout rate. Wow. 25%. Well, you know what? If they're dropping out and going to HVAC school and learning to become plumbers and carpenters, thank you, Jesus, because we need those. Oh, my God. It is so dry in Arizona. Let's see. Tracking federal deficit. This is just for July of 2024. $242 billion deficit for the month, increasing year over year by $21 billion. That's a 10% increase, give or take. Call it 9 if you want. What was that spent on specifically in the education department? There were a couple things, actually. Deferring student loans, which, by the way, let's talk about student loans, because student loans are the only types of loans on the planet that you can't write off in a bankruptcy. Did you know that? By the way, TikToker 2006, you're weird. Yeah, you're a weird 18-year-old because you're asking a lot of really good questions, and that's not normal. I don't even get questions like this from guys twice your age, so you should be proud of yourself because at some point you're going to run something big. Earl, you got censored, baby. Earl says 96 degrees Fahrenheit is cool. Yes, it's true. Great when you can hold them liable. We paid, they wasted. I don't know why they'd censor that. They don't even know who the they is you're talking about. But they censored you. Love this algorithm. All right, well, have fun. And I'm glad you stayed for as long as you did. The average attention span of the American nowadays is about the same as a tsetse fly. It's about 1.6 seconds. Okay, so we've got huge $500 billion in outlays. That increased year over year by 76 billion. Oh, by the way, before I interrupt myself, let's do this. Why can't you write off student loans? You don't have to bother with a question mark. Google doesn't need it. It knows it's a question. Why aren't student loans 100% deductible? That's not what I ask. Why can't you write off student loans? Whether your student loan interest is tax deductible depends on, you paid interest on qualified student loan in the tax year. They're really not answering this, are they? Why can't people pay off their student loans? Why should you pay off your student loans early? Do student loans, tax benefits, interest deductions. Wow, why student loans should not be forgiven. Oh boy. Will student loans be taken off my credit report? Legitimate information about your student loans cannot be removed from your credit report. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Does student debt go away after 7 years? Federal student loans can remain on your credit indefinitely until they're paid off. There is no statute of limitations. Defaulted student loans from private lenders may fall off after 7 years, but federal loans stick forever. Why is that? Because they wrote it into the legislation. Why? Why did they make that the only thing that goes against Judeo-Christian ethics? Because remember, all debts are forgiven after 7 years. After 50 years, all debts are forgiven for everyone completely. It's called a Jubilee year, according to the Bible. I don't think, let's see, am I old enough? Yeah, I've lived for over 50 years. Why didn't I see a Jubilee? Well, because we don't do that part. Because the lenders would have to just eat whatever they have outstanding at that moment, and we would start over again. Wait, what? Yeah, that's the way it used to work. But guess what? Now that the bloodsuckers are in charge of the banking system, the usury, the benchers, the money changers, we will never get out from underneath the debt if we don't get rid of them. You're wrong. They have a maintenance program, the government for student loans. That's the company I owe. Oh, that's the last he said. Okay, Mitch, well, that's bullshit. I just read it from Google. Google is the Harris of the internet. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it says right here, it'll never come off your credit, period. End of fucking story. Federal student loans can remain on your credit report indefinitely until they're paid off. So whatever you were saying, save it. I use Perplexity AI app better than Google. Interesting. Perplexity. Can you please keep on going and let's see, keep on going and educating me. I really like to learn. Well, outstanding. Mitch is Linda's friend. I want to be Linda's friend. Linda, are you still there? Please answer me. Please, Elon Musk's buddy. Please come back to me, Linda. I miss you already. It seems like it's been a long, wait, has it been a long time since she left us? It feels like years. It's not the same without her. I want her back. Actually, what I think I've just done is I've probably exposed my blind spot to you folks, because obviously I have a problem with women. And that is that the ones who dislike me the most are typically the ones I chase the most. Yeah. Martin and Linda forever. I'm going to go carve that on a tree outside. Oh, that's right. We don't have fucking trees. We're in Arizona. I really miss trees. Like, we have big, huge bushes that are 15 feet high, but those aren't trees. Stop chasing. If you had a face like this, you'd chase too. All right? Come on, David. Man's got to do what a man's got to do. You know what I'm saying? Why did I channel an old black man then? You know what? I always think of old, like the old black man sitting on a, you know, like a inverted paint bucket somewhere. You go to them for advice, and they always have the best advice. They always have the best advice. I don't know what that is. Maybe we should get a really old black blues player, like a guy who's played blues his whole life. Does Trump have a plan to make college more affordable? I don't know that he does. I don't think so. But I think what we need to do is we need to go to colleges and say, all right, look, you guys have fucked us over now for 20 years. Stop. Or just stop sending people to college, because we all know that college is total bullshit now. Like, it's complete bullshit. I didn't go to college. I'm rich. Well, how did I get rich? Well, this is the third time, because I lost it the first two times, because making it's easier than keeping it. And I didn't have in school any idea of how to manage wealth, because they don't teach that in any school. They don't teach it at Harvard. So I didn't miss out on anything there. They sure shit don't teach it in home ec. I learned how to scramble an egg. Okay, keep going. I was competing with a blender, by the way. They picked me because I was the biggest guy in the classroom. They were like, all right, fuck it. Let's see if you can beat an egg better. Oh, well, thanks. What about balancing a checkbook? What? No, get out of here, idiot. So Ray Charles comes to mind. Yeah, you know, no, nobody that's that famous. It's got to be a guy who's been playing in, like, I don't know, outside of Memphis. He doesn't do it for the money. He does it because he loves the music. You know that guy. Yeah, trade schools since 75%. Yeah, absolutely. Like, come on, what happened to trade schools? Muddy Waters, there you go. So, you know, I remember when I went to high school, I took wood shop. I took advanced wood shop. I took metal shop. I took advanced metal shop. I took welding. I took automotive repair, all in high school. All in high school. I took drafting, which of course, then you can go on to architect. You can study architecture. This was all in high school. This is in the 80s. All that's gone now. All of that's gone now. I just talked to a kid who was here working on the property for me. And I said, what's the deal, man? Cool kid. Really, really like him. Like, really, works hard. Super nice kid. Got a great personality. And I said, hey, what's the deal? You go to high school here? He goes, yeah, I go to the high school down the street. I said, they got any trade shop classes? He goes, no, I wish they did, man. I really wish they did. But he goes, the good news is that the local junior college does have all that stuff. And if you sign up for it, you can go during high school. And by the time you graduate high school, you can also graduate with an AA in some of these different things. I was like, you shitting me? You could do that? And he goes, it's hard, man. You got to have a car. Like, it's only for kids like me who have a side job and can afford a car. And I was like, damn, that's cool though. I mean, okay, that's how you get ahead, because let's face it, if all you know how to do is HVAC repair and you're really good at it and you're young and you got tons of energy, and then you decide, hey, you know what? I think I might take a couple basic business classes at night or on the weekend. And then the next thing you know, now you can start your own HVAC company. Well, where does that lead? Well, that depends on what you want. You want to have 5 trucks? You want to have 10 trucks? You want to have the largest HVAC company in the state? I mean, my uncle didn't know shit about electricity. He got a contract working for the U.S. government. Now, how do you get the contract? I don't even fucking know. I don't know how he got it. It was a simple one. You didn't even have to have an electrical license. But he changed out all the light bulbs at an Air Force base outside of Atlanta. He saw it and he was like, how hard could that be? There's a lot of fucking light bulbs on an Air Force base, let me tell you. So he looked at the job and he figured out how long it would take and he figured it would take him and another guy working just balls to the wall 18 hours a day. It would take him about 90 days. So he bid the contract and he got it. He made a shit ton of money doing it. And he was like, I could do this all day. He now owns Voltamp Electrical. It's the largest electrical contractor in the state of Georgia. He was already 40-something years old when he started that company. He had been a short order cook who worked his way up to running the Rusty Pelican nationwide. And when they went out of business, he was like, fuck it, I'm done with the restaurant business. I can't stand this business. It was just too much work. He never saw his kids, never saw his wife. So then he started a company that he made the largest electrical contractor in Georgia and never saw his wife, never saw his kids. And so she divorced him. There's a lesson in there somewhere, okay? I think it's moderation in all things. And for me, moderation is the first thing I moderate. Grandson doing automotive class right now. That's outstanding. That's very cool. Yeah, East Valley Institute of Technology. I am very familiar with EVIT. I pick their brains all the time when I want to do something electrical or engineering wise that's really kind of crazy or stupid or just something off the wall. That I decided that I had a 79 Chevy pickup truck and I thought, well, there's nothing wrong with it, but how hard would it be to fit a 2000 Corvette under it? Turn it into basically a mid-engine race car that looked like a 79 Chevy stepside. That's very cool. That is very cool. He's gonna do really well. That's cool. It's good to see that people are like, not everybody thinks that they're going to be a TikTok influencer. I mean, I'm not. I made videos that got 10 million views. I made $271 on TikTok. Whoa. Did the education system offer more options to, much more, much more. You definitely should be proud of him. Some vaccine, high school, then Navy, then retired Union, now building manager. Wow, that's cool. You know what? I mean, that's not a bad way to go. Although I don't know, man. I don't want my kid to join the Marine Corps. You know, with all the stupid shit they're doing right now, the last thing I want is for my son to go overseas and die for an oil company or for a mineral mining company. You know, Afghanistan doesn't have oil, but they have approximately $4 trillion in rare earth minerals. Well, that's weird. Where is it? Well, it's right straight up the middle of the country to the base of the mountains. And by the way, we picked out the middle of the country, a 50-mile wide strip, and that's where we dropped about 80% of our ordnance during the Afghanistan conflict. When Donald Rumsfeld was asked, why are we dropping all of our ordnance in this 50-mile wide region? Like, we've basically made this entire area, this corridor, completely unlivable. And he said, well, the reason that we're doing it is because Afghanistan is not exactly a target-rich environment. Now, I know you're thinking what I thought. Well, then why are you dropping the fucking bombs to begin with? You're wasting tax money. Somebody's got to do it. Chemical engineering. That's awesome. That is not easy. My God, to get a degree in chemistry is extremely tough. Biology, extremely tough. These are not things that stupid kids do. Like when you think, what do dumb kids do? Well, they play tiddlywink with a sharp knife. Let's see. They drive down. They drive out in the desert really fast when they're drunk. Yeah, chemistry's not one of those things though. Yeah, so we never got a rule of why can't you write off federal student loans? Wow. Federal student aid, number one thing that comes up. Tax benefits for higher education. Federal student aid. They really don't want to answer that question, do they? But the reality is, it's simple. You can't write them off because the government doesn't want you to. That's the short answer. So, all right. Well, I am going to call it night. I've been on here for a little over 2 hours, which is a good session. Yes, I will be around tomorrow. I will be going to pick up a whole bunch of silver. A whole bunch. Let's see. Yep. So life is good. So if anybody wants to talk to me, I will be in a car for 6 hours. Well, then I'll be in a car again for another 6 hours. So yeah, 12 hours. You guys have a great night, and I will talk to you soon. All right. Good session.